Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to start in about 2 minutes. If you don't mind having your seats, we're going to start in about 2 minutes. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started now. I want to thank you all for coming to the MSSC and celebrating Native American Heritage Month with us. For those who don't know me, my name is Bobby Brito Oliveira. I'm a double alum, proud alum of the Talent Development Program, class of 2006 and 2011. I've been employed at URI for many years, 8 of which was for talent development. For the last 5, I've been here in the MSSC, serving as the Assistant Director. So thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. And just so you know, the exits, you went through one of them. We have an emergency exit here and also one in the back of the building as well. Bathrooms, we have students in the front who can direct you to the bathroom should you need to use it. Right now, I want to call up a very promising scholar who entered URI also through the Talent Development Program, a young lady who comes from a long line of leaders, one of whom is her mother, who will be serving as a panelist today. She makes me proud. She makes the university proud. She makes this RTD Nation family proud. And right now, I want to introduce Sonia Thomas, class of 2029, to do our land acknowledgement.
Oscar Wikwasin, everyone. How are we doing? Wonderful. I will be given this event's land acknowledgement. Okay. The statement recognizes and pays tribute to the people who lived on and stewarded the land on which the university now resides. The statement seeks to show gratitude and respect to the indigenous people and cultures and build community with the Narragansett Nation and other Native American tribes. The University of Rhode Island occupies the traditional stomping ground of the Narragansett Nation and Niantic people. We honor and respect the enduring and continuing relationship between the indigenous people and this land by teaching and learning more about their history and present-day communities, and by becoming stewards of the land we too inhabit. Today, as we gather to talk about politics, policy, and advocacy for indigenous communities, may we do so with deep respect for the peoples we have always governed these lands and continue to lead with wisdom today. Our conversations about justice, representation, and policy reform must be rooted in understanding, and sovereignty is not symbolic. It is lived, defended, and continuously reaffirmed through our community's actions and persistence. As we move into today's panel discussion, we recognize those who are carrying that work forward, leaders, advocates, and knowledge keepers who are shaping our policies that protect our lands, our languages, and our rights. Let us listen with intention, engage with humility, leave this space with a deeper commitment to policies that reflect Indigenous voices, values, and visions. I want to take this moment to honor our panelists, individuals who bring diverse experiences and expertise in advocacy, governance, and community leadership. Together, their work reflects the living legacy of Indigenous sovereignty and the power of collective action. Tabatni, thank you.
Told you. Thank you, Sonia. Right now, I want to give some acknowledgments in the building. Please forgive me if I miss anybody, but I want to make sure I acknowledge some special folk who are constant contributors to the MSSC and the work that is done in this center, especially for our students. I want to acknowledge Michelle Fonts, Assistant Vice President for Community Equity and Diversity. Hold your applause. I'm going to get y'all as best I can. Gerald Williams, our fearless leader of talent development. We have Deb Suggs, who is a major advocate for the Narragansett tribe. Camilla Avant, Dr. Springer, Christy Embrach, Asia Marino, who in initial years of this space acknowledging Native American Heritage Month was very instrumental in making this happen. So I actually give it up for Asia because she did that. Asia Marino. Dr. Christina Moyet, Manuela Vadas, the Gender Sexuality Center. I'm sure I'm missing some folk, but I appreciate you all. I also want to acknowledge members of NASO. If you are at NASO, Native American Student Organization, can you please stand up so we can acknowledge you? And also to the Bond Brothers who showed up to support this event, I greatly appreciate you all as well. Last and certainly not least, our leader of this university, our esteemed leader of this university, who has been a champion for us in the MSSC and various identity centers and other departments and colleges across the university. Since coming here 5 years ago, he's made sure he knows us. He shows up on a regular basis. It's no shock to see him here today to represent our institution, my alma mater, and that is our leader, President Mark Parlange.
Thank you so much, Bobby. Yeah. So hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here with all of you today as we kick off Native American Heritage Month celebrations. And I also want to really acknowledge and thank our two student leaders here for the student organization. I remember when I first came, and Vange and Laurel were the two, and we started talking, and I learned so much. So I look forward to working with you. I want to just say a big thank you to our representatives and our panelists today for sharing not only your time, but your expertise, your perspective, culture. I'd like to also echo the importance of the university's land acknowledgement, the development of which would not have been possible without really the input with the Narragansett tribe. Our university and many of our homes occupy the traditional stomping grounds of the Narragansett Nation and the Niantic people, and it's important to recognize our history and move forward together toward justice. I'd like to briefly touch upon the Narragansett Scholarship. Since launching the scholarship in 21, we have been able to distribute more than $500,000 to students who are members of the Narragansett Nation. So we are deeply committed to continuing to expand access to higher education and to continue to strengthen our relationship with the Narragansett Nation. We value all URI students, and we are committed to helping each and every one of them succeed. More than roughly a third of our students are the first in their family to go to college, so it's extremely important that we support everyone and set them up for success at the university. And so I'm really happy with this partnership with all of you. I also want to acknowledge colleagues who have really helped me a lot, including the former chair of the Department of Anthropology and Sociology, Chris Bovey, who's a member of the Board of Trustees here. I'm always open, we're always open to ideas about how we can be better partners, so please let us know, and I look forward to all the events that are scheduled during this month, including Silver Moon. The Rose from the Tomaquag Museum this afternoon will be leading Indigenous storytelling, and tomorrow afternoon there's a talk by Lee Francis, founder and chief imagination officer of the Indigenous Imagination Workshop, who will be talking about representation of Indigenous people in pop culture. This month and every month, it is crucial that we continue to educate ourselves and our community and continue to engage respectfully. So thank you all for coming, and I'm looking forward to the panel discussion with all of you. Thank you. Thanks, Bobby.
I knew I was going to miss somebody. Dr. Lazaro Camacho, brother, you show up every time, man. I appreciate you. You blended in with the students. My bad. And another group I failed to mention as well is the tribe itself. We're occupying their lands. So if you remember of the Narragansett tribe, will you please stand up so I can recognize you all? One of the folks that you saw pictured up here, served as a panelist a few years back. I had the pleasure of meeting him through alumnus Raymond Two Hawks Watson when I was looking for panelists from the community. Again, always relying on folks who are experts in this work. And he introduced me to Wayne Everett. And I want to have a moment of silence for Wayne because, again, I met him through this panel. Great brother who gave a lot to the community, including URI. So if you all mind, please join me in a moment of silence for Wayne.
Remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagle so high, feeling free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
Thank you for sharing that song, Sonia. Next up, deviating from the plan a little bit, but that's what we do. I'm gonna have a young brother come up here to read a poem, and he always steps up. Since I met him and he entered TD, Hendricken, you came out all right. I met him at his graduation at Hendricken. A week or so later, at a mutual cookout, then found out he was talent development, and he served as the president of NASO for some years. He's always been active in the MSSC. He's also a bond brother. And I am pleased to introduce Trey Hamlin. And again, this brother always shows up. Give it up for Trey, man. Last minute and all.
First off, I just want to thank Bobby for having me here. It's always an honor. It's always an honor to come here every single time. So I just greatly appreciate Bobby for that. But unfortunately, I'm filling in for June Jackson. She is the secretary for NASO. She couldn't, make it, a little bit under the weather. But before I read this poem, she just wanted to explain how she felt that this poem really just understood the remembrance of the earth that we're on and our culture and our land, and just the ancestors and the heritage in which is involved in it. So I'm about to read a poem called Remembered by Joy Harjo. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember the earth whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth, we are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, histories too. Talk to them, listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind, remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember the dance languages that life is. Remember. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey. I've mentioned in the past at these events how I wanted to reiterate that our cultures are not limited to the days on the calendar, be it Black History Month, Native American Heritage Month, Latinx Heritage Month. But it's important that we recognize on these lands, especially the lands that are stolen, that we recognize our Native American brothers and sisters and Two-Spirit people throughout the year. And for that, I want to recognize past topics that we've covered here in the MSSC honoring Native American Heritage Month. One being the miseducation of indigenous people, another missing and murdered indigenous women, children, and Two-Spirit people. Another one was narratives of history, belonging, and activism. And this year, we thought it was important, given the state of the world we're in right now, the climate we all coexist in, regardless of what side you're on the political realm, that we talk about our Native American brothers and sisters and their impact in the political world. Kind of going along the lines of activism still, but just touching upon their roles and their contributions to our society as it relates to politics. So I want to just put that on your mind and give some thought about that throughout the course of this event. We have a great lunch prepared for us today by Sly Fox Dinner. I want to ask Tribal Elder, Ms. Belanoka, to come up and bless the food.
Oscar Wikwasin. I don't ask for you to bow your head, but more so to lift your head and raise your spirit, because that's what this is all about, raising our spirits to the Creator. There is no shame amongst our people, so therefore, we raise our heads. Creator, before we begin, don't let my words that fall on your spirits just be pretty words, but I pray that it be medicine for all of you to receive, that we enter this room with open hearts and open minds and the willing to listen, hear, learn, and grow from each other. May we be medicine for each other, so when we leave this room, we're filled with something we did not have when we entered. May we be filled with food to nourish our bodies, to carry along the way messages that need to be heard and shared. Creator, I ask for you to touch each and every one in this room and bless their spirit for whatever they may be going through, their challenges, their sorrows, their happiness, and whatever comes tomorrow. May they feel the love, the appreciation, and the respect that you bring when entering these rooms. Fill their cup, fill their spirits, and may they walk pretty throughout their journey. Aho.
Thank you, Bella. So our amazing cuisine today is from Sly Fox Den, an authentic Native American restaurant, and we have a representative from the establishment who's going to introduce some of the food and tell you what it consists of. So at the tables, you'll see a list of those foods as well. Because we want to get into the panel as soon as possible, we ask that you expeditiously get your food and get seated. And we're going to ask the panelists and on the president's table, go up and get your food first so we can have them prepared by the time we're all ready to sit and get eaten. Thank you. And tribal elders as well, tribal members as well.
Yana hey ya hey yana hey 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 me you. Yana hey ya hey yana 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 hey me you. Hier Jocelyn, Jocelyn.
Hey,
All right, everybody, we're about to get started and resume the panel. If you don't mind having your seats. And if the panelists can come up to the front, greatly appreciate it. How was lunch, y'all? Yeah, give it up for Sly Fox Den. All right, so we're going to be resuming the panel now, and I'm going to be introducing our lovely moderator, Ms. Belanoka. The bio reads, Belanoka, Narragansett Nation Tribal Elder, international human rights activist, civil rights and minority rights activist, and advocate, president and founder of Red Wind, providing services to survivors of domestic minor sex trafficking. That's what her bio reads. What I'm gonna tell you is a little bit more than that, and it's from the heart because I've known Bella since birth. Coming from the same community, Bella grew up with my parents. My grandparents knew her parents, so on and so forth, her children, now my cousins. Again, grew up in a very communal neighborhood where we took care of each other, we loved on one another, and now at all times talking about politics and how it's important to lead with love. Bella has always led love for me. She calls me her Fresh Prince, and I've always appreciated and valued that. So it made perfect sense to have Bella come up here today and once again serve our institution in this capacity. This year as a moderator, in years past, she served as a panelist, but I want to welcome her and thank her for her love, unconditional love, and dedication to the people, not only here at URI, but around the world. That's who she is, that's who she serves the people. Bella, would you please come up?
Hello, everyone. My name is Belanoka. I want to thank you for having me, and I'm not going to be like all your other moderators that you've had in the past. I'm going to make mistakes, and you're going to ignore them all. You're not going to bear witness to this. However, we have a beautiful panel right here. I believe they will take the time to introduce themselves. We will start at the end with the young man, person.
Hello. Hello. Hi, I'm Trey Hamlin. I'm a senior here at URI. I'm studying secondary education, and I've been a member of NASO, I think since I got here, actually, at URI. So I'm very proud and very grateful to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Mina. I'm a junior and I'm a double major in criminal justice and Africana studies. I'm a member of the Narragansett Indian tribe, and I'm also the president of NASO. So nice to see everyone.
Good afternoon. My name is Sonia Silva Thomas. That's weird for me, right? A little bit. I am Narragansett. That's where my traditions, my teachings, who I am, my way of life comes from. But I also have bloodlines of Oglala Lakota Sioux, Mi'kmaq tribe of Canada, and Aquinnah Wampanoag, which is a really interesting tie because my grandfather's last name was originally Amos from the Aquinnah tribe, and his band of Wampanoags were sold down to the Caribbean, and he was ended up from Bermuda and with the last name Enos to sound more Portuguese. So I always like to share that little bit of story because I'm a walking legacy of what oral traditions can hold on to.
Good afternoon, it's afternoon. Mac Scott, and I'm Narragansett. I'm a former member of NASO quite a few years ago, and teacher and educator.
Hello, I'm Samantha Cullen Fry, citizen of the Narragansett tribe. I work at Tamaquag Museum as the manager of the Indigenous Empowerment Center. We like long titles. And a mom of two, and someone who is incredibly passionate about political activism and activism within our communities and how policy will affect us and affects us all the time without our input. So I'm excited for today's conversation.
Thank you all very much. I would like to give a special thanks to two people. My husband, Randy Noka, who served as the National Congress of American Indians for many years and was vice president, the first vice president from the region. Also served as the United Southeastern Tribes vice chairman for many years, over 20 years. So it goes beyond Narragansett. It goes all the way out in Indian country, serving over 570 plus recognized tribes and a lot of state and local tribes. So there's work to be done, and I'm happy to have this panel here and this room full of people in the multicultural center here to express and share some education and some information. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. President of URI and Gerald Williams. Thank you. So we have some great questions, and I'm interested in learning or hearing from each and every one of you. Starting here at this end of the table, I will, the panelists will take 1 to 2 minutes to briefly, oh, never mind, I told you I will make a mistake. Let this go by, just breathe. All right, here we go. So, here we go. Can you share how Indigenous youth engage with politics and activism in the present day?
Nothing like being put on the spot. So I think we see this in a multitude of ways, right? And a lot of times our political activism might look different than what we see on CNN and MSNBC and what we see depicted in news. Activism is being an enrolled member at this university and getting a degree so that we can sit at tables and be able to advocate for ourselves. Activism looks like, you know, we had a lot of our youth who went out to Standing Rock, which was a huge movement that happened, but locally it was a movement as well, where we were able to come together as a community, support them with materials, belongings, things to bring out there, talk to DEM about transport of wood that I didn't know was an issue, but they wanted to build schools for the kids out there while they were not able to be matriculated in the regular schools. But in order to get wood from here to build our traditional homes out there, it was a whole legal process to be able to do that. So we see that show up in a whole lot of ways, but a lot of times it's just in our life ways and how we're living. You also have to keep in mind, and I think this gets missed a lot, our youth and also our adults are living under two political systems or more. So we have the federal government, state government, tribal government. So when you're talking about activism, where is it showing up? You might not see us in front of the State House every time, but you might catch us down in Charlestown or in other spaces or at a youth conference for tribal youth in Washington, D.C. So I think one of the things I would love to see is more intergenerational, multicultural spaces where we're sharing what we want to see, where we're sharing our concerns, where we're having these conversations, because our youth can't do it alone, our adults can't do it alone. There's not enough of us to go around everywhere. So more advocates and allies who truly understand where our point of view, where we're coming from, and what we need to see happen.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add to that, which was amazing points, by the way. Activism also looks like being intentional around your future, having a vision of what you want the next 7 generations to have access to that you do not, and put your place, create a space at the table, whether it's town halls, regardless what it is. I don't care if you're one of many, we are a people. So as long as you're at those tables, getting the information needed to bring back to the people, then we will continue to work as a whole. But I think being intentional around what you want the 7 generations to look like and put your butt in those spaces is the best place to start. Even if you don't understand what they're saying, that means you're in the right place because you're in a space to grow.
So I have a pretty specific example, I guess. So this year was the 350th anniversary of the August meeting. That's recorded, right? If you don't know anything about it, it's the longest recorded gathering of Native peoples on Turtle Island. So it's pretty special. This year was 350th. If you were there, you would have noticed that the flag bearer was a young man named Yoyache Harris, and he carried a traditional Narragansett flag into the circle and leading everybody in. That is activism, and it's activism because Yoyache, the name means he who remembers the old ways. This meeting is about tradition and connection, and it's in a place that officially doesn't recognize that indigenous community, right? So I don't know how many of you know this, but Rhode Island officially does not recognize the Narragansett people, right? So being there, 350th time, carrying the flag in a place that says you don't exist, and that said you don't exist for a long time, is activism.
And I just want to point out an individual who also played a role in that type of activism by carrying in the Eagle staff during the 350th Narragansett Indian tribal powwow. He is also the grandson of the current war chief of the Narragansett tribe, and that Shining Anak is standing in the back there. And he's putting himself in spaces and places. He's not a student, but he is here to also gather that information.
So there's been some great points brought up. There's a lot of great points being said. I'm going to take a little bit of a different standpoint from it, especially being a member of the Indigenous youth. I think that there's not a lot of engagement with the youth that is Indigenous, and I wish there was more because a lot of us are spread out. You know, some of us don't live on the reservation. Some of us are mixed with a bunch of other things, speaking from experience. And I think it's hard when your family's not telling you exactly where you're from. But I think there's a level of maturity that comes with being able to recognize where you come from and do that research to find out where you come from and what you can do to serve your community and serve your people. And so yeah, I just wanted to bring that point up because when it comes to politics and activism, really the first step you can do as a member of the youth is do that research. Because a lot of times there's a sense of feeling like you don't know what's going on with your community. You don't really have the knowledge to help out your community, but you can do that by becoming more involved with your community and also just doing the research. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off of what Mina said. I mean, we are the youth, and we are trying to organize our people together and just have a greater understanding, and then, you know, take what we learn and give that not only to you guys but the other students here at URI. So yeah, that's huge.
Thank you all very much, and I didn't once have to tell someone to pass the mic. Thank you. Those were all great answers, and I look forward to sitting down at your table with many other elders to hear and listen to your concerns. Next question, in what ways have federal and state policies, healthcare, education, housing, criminal justice, help or harm Indigenous communities? And what are some policy changes you feel would have a real impact? If you need for me to repeat that, I will.
I think we got it. This is like 3 questions in one, really.
Yes.
I think what our 2 youth said is poignant and should be heard. There's not a lot of civic engagement opportunity, right? And I even feel like sometimes as an adult, when I'm showing up to the polls, I ain't got time to read 52 pages of a bill, and apparently neither does anybody else in Congress. And so I do think we need to find spaces where we can engage with our youth. And I think the other really poignant thing you said was we live in a diaspora. We don't live on a reservation where we're all together all the time and able to have community conversations. And I think that would be something internally that's super important. But I also feel like the greater community can also contribute to that and create spaces for that. Some of the federal and state policies, run the scroll. There's a ton. I think in Rhode Island right now, what I feel like keeps popping up and what I spent, I don't know how many hours we were at Narragansett Town Hall, is ocean access, right? So we're the ocean state, we are an ocean people, and we can't get to our own waters. And it's not to sunbathe, and it's not to like hang out with our friends, although that's cool too. But it's our medicine, it is our ceremony, it is our culture, it is who we are. And when that starts to come away and be taken away from the people, you don't just, it's erasure, right? But you don't just take away that space. You take away a person. And if your church was shut down tomorrow, if wherever you go for your solace was closed off to you and you couldn't go there anymore, what does that look like and how does that change your life ways? We are people who have endured for a millennia, right? And so now all of a sudden, I can't get to where I go for sustenance. We're talking about food shortages, SNAP benefits being cut. Well, everyone I know trades food. We don't go hungry, but you have to be able to go get the crab and get the fish and know that it's healthy. And I think the blue wave and the blue economy in Rhode Island is a pivotal structural point where we all need to be super engaged and aware. But I think the Indigenous people really need to be able to have a voice, and our youth need to be connected to that.
Very good.
I'll just really quickly, education, I'm an educator. And I think that, I really believe that education is powerful and it can change circumstances and lives. It did it from myself. And in Rhode Island, the reality is that, after the social justice movement, Rhode Island revamped some of its curriculum to include the experiences of people of African descent and people of Pacific Island descent, and excluded people of Native descent on purpose. And I think that, raising awareness and advocating for making sure that we include the experiences and contributions and histories that are very important to this place of Native peoples is very important.
I wanted to point out, I do notice that there's an educational shift in cultural acknowledgement. When I was younger, we didn't have these land acknowledgements and this type of thing to start off certain ceremonies or events. So I want to say that's a good thing, to spread awareness. However, there is this thing called symbolic versus structural inclusion. So although while land acknowledgement and cultural recognitions are a step forward, and I'm greatly appreciated because awareness is a form of activism as well, but without material policy change, such as land return or tribal consultation rights, sovereignty around research, and we're often called the asterisk nation. So really putting policies in place, and as long as we are doing our research and continuing to move forward, I know becoming lawyers and folks that want to step up in politics in itself, but really I just wanted to really point out that piece of acknowledging something versus having it put in place. And I can go on about the 1978 Act and all that stuff,
Just to kind of go over the question again, in what ways have federal and state policies help or harm Indigenous communities? Just based off the founding of this country, we already know the harm that has been done to Indigenous communities, but it's also the events that follow that continue to remind us that no matter what we do, it's harder for us as Native people to get things done politically, to make change, to have a real impact. And so it's a really hard question to answer, and it's a really hard topic, just because what is the first step? What is the first step you can do to make change within your community, especially as a member of the youth? What can you do? The first thing you can do is recognize the harm that has been done to your communities. And I think a lot of people just turn a blind eye, especially as the youth. You're like, oh, what can I do about politics? I can't control what's going on in the White House. I can't control what's going on in my country, even if I don't agree with it. So it's hard. But I think the first step is just recognizing what the issues are and seeing what you can do about it, whether it be something small, just realizing that your truth and what you have to say can make an impact.
To go kind of towards where Mac was going in terms of education and
Can you
as a
please
future
speak into the mic so everyone can hear?
Sorry.
Thank you.
As a future educator myself, I feel like the greatest asset that we have as humans is just to learn. Last year, I took a class, it happened to be my Aunt Wanda, and I loved it. And it was a great attendance. Mina was also there, and that also kind of ties into the education portion of this, is where we are the youth, and we need to learn everything that we can so that we could help our elders have a greater outreach. I mean, yeah.
Thank you all.
I just want to plug that class because it's happening again in the spring. Aunt Wanda, no, Wanda Hopkins, teaching native, what is it, literatures course? Yeah, so if there's any students who are interested, look it up. It's a great opportunity, and like Trey said, he gave it a ringing endorsement.
And really quickly, I just wanted to highlight the economic restrictions that are placed on the Narragansett people. State and federal barriers to tribal economic initiatives, including but not limited to, gaming, have constrained the Narragansett Nation. Ability to build independent revenue, community infrastructure, and the attempts by the tribe have often been faced with legal, political barriers, court cases, which I know our moderator and her husband can speak directly to. But I only want to highlight that because oftentimes some folks, without knowing the full story, can look upon, why don't they just do this? Why can't they just level up and do that? Just know that there are state and federal restrictions on the lands, which still pots don't have running water. So really think about that in 2025.
Thank you. I often hear, how is the tribe getting along? We hear so much, we read so much about their conflicts. I ask, how is America getting along? Because I read so much about their conflicts. Next question. How can non-Native allies better support Indigenous political movements and priorities?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to answer that question, but divert a little bit, because to speak to the two youth here, and any of our youth in the room, and any of the youth in the room, I think we think about research having to be like, you go to the library, or you got to read a document, or you got to get somewhere. Ask. Wanda's on campus. She's a resource. Bella's always a resource. Randy's a resource. He's in the room. There are those of us who are around. Just ask. Pop up at an elder's lunch down at the tribe. They would love to see your faces. They might not share their food, but they would love to see your faces and engage in conversation with you, and learning from them and not having to reinvent the wheel. I think for us is one of the things I think we are constantly seeing is that next generation. It's just like NASA, right? You come in and it's gone away, and then they're like, how do we do this again? We don't have enough kids. And where's all the information? And then somebody else has to redream it again. I think there's a way for us to have continuity there. And that goes to allies as well. Building trust in our community isn't easy. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. It's going to take time. It's going to take constant touches, constant communication. It's going to take not disappearing, because we so often have seen, myself through being involved in youth group younger, or just being in our community, people come and people go. So you don't put a whole lot of trust in the outside community because it ebbs and it flows. So know that when you start to engage, it isn't something that's going to be a 6-month, a 1-year thing. It might take you multiple years to get to where you want to go. And that doesn't mean you stop talking and you stop showing up and you stop being a part of, or you stop advocating for us in the spaces that you're able to be in. So if you see a policy that looks like it's something that might harm Native people, you bring it to somebody that you know. And if you're not sure exactly who to go somewhere. I know a lot of friends who sit in different rooms who will text me and go, hey, did you know this is going on? Hey, did you know they're making this decision? Hey, you should really pop up to this thing at Farm Fresh and see what's going on. And that's how we know. There's no person, right? There's no place, there's no thing to go to. And I always attribute it to, I think a lot of times we think we just go to the tribal government and then they'll discern the information. Well, does the state of Rhode Island discern everything to you? No. Should the tribal government have to do that for all of its citizens? That's a conversation we can have later. But we're citizens living amongst you daily. We're in your rooms, we're in your spaces, we're at your universities, we're working next to you. And it's okay to start having those conversations and inviting us in, because maybe it's something that my council might hear from me but they wouldn't take your call. But now I'm in the room and I can go, hey, did you know that this is happening? So it's that constant communication and showing up and not being afraid to show up.
That's a great answer. I would just echo, like, being honest about the reality of the harm. So there's this really popular article by Tuck and Yang, and it's called "Decolonization is Not a Metaphor." And what they're saying is that, you know, the reparative work for indigenous communities is deep and arduous, and being honest about that. It's not something that you know, a couple dollars or a Band-Aid or, you know, some service project is going to fix. Thinking about the structures and the history and all of that harm in a way in which, you know, creates some ownership, creates some responsibility, right? And really kind of accepting that as a person, I think is the best thing that an ally could do for a community.
I just wanted to bring up the point of education again, because learning is always going to help you with everything in life, and you need to know what's going on in order to help. And I think the best thing you can do as a non-native ally, like anyone here right now who's not native, your presence is appreciated, and you going out of your way and taking some time out of your day to learn about another community is really appreciated, and just that can be the first step of helping out. And I think recognizing the history of our culture and recognizing our values and how much we care about Mother Earth and what we can do for her, I think just recognizing what European society has done to Native communities and what it has done to everyone's ideologies of how to take care of a planet, and basically just that it's neglected it's neglected the planet overall. And I think really recognizing that is important, and thinking about or putting yourself in a Native American's shoes and seeing, wow, look what we have done to the earth. Look what we have done to society overall. And how can we move forward? How can I help? What can I do? And just thinking about that and what you do every day is just so important. And I think that's honestly the best thing you can do, especially if you're so busy with everything else in your life. It kind of is the only thing you can do. So.
You know, reading this question, how can non-native allies better support indigenous political movements and priorities? I mean, the first thing I think about as being part of the youth with Mina is social media. Social media really does a lot for us. I mean, I see so many young faces in the back here because they know something online or they saw, you know, Bobby's very active on social media, and I'm sure that that's how they figured out today was a panel that they can come to. So I feel like we need to do more of that to get more people that are not native against it, to come in and just understand what's really going on here.
Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. What advice would you give to young indigenous people who want to get involved in either politics or advocacy on behalf of other tribal members?
Do it. We don't care how, we don't care when, we don't care what, just do it. I can't imagine anybody in our community being like, whatever. I think anybody would throw their weight and support behind any young person who's out here trying to do the work, trying to make a path, trying to make change, trying to do better for themselves and their community. I think that's just who we are. I mean, we're gonna uplift you, support you, try to educate you. Once we see you out there, we'll be out there too. And I think that's the beauty in who we are as a community. So I think it's just do it. And there's resources here in the state. For women, there's the Women's Fund Project. There's other organizations that will teach you how to write policy. You can pop up at your local town council meetings. See if you can't tag in at a board meeting for URI, start to see how these things are run, what happens in these rooms, what do they talk about. I just watched a video on social media One of them. My elder millennial self is coming out. But Barack Obama said, you know, once you get in the room with all the people that you think are the bigwigs, they're not all that great either. They're not as smart as you think they are. They're not as accomplished as you think they are. They don't have all the answers like you think they do. So get in the room, start making some change, start rattling some cages, and then just know that there are people behind you who are going to stand with you and support you.
Thank you.
I would just quickly add, prepare yourself to get into the room, right? So whatever you have to do to make sure that you are that person that can be in that room, start doing that. So look at yourself and see how you can best help and make those changes that you want to help make for other people.
Thank you.
Plain and simple, walk in the room as if your ancestors invited you there.
I was actually going to have an answer similar to that, but I was going to say that I want to start off by saying the biggest disservice you can do to yourself as an Indigenous person is to not be proud of where you come from. And like you said about walking with your ancestors, they're right behind you. You're a reflection of everything that has ever happened to your people. And if you want to do something, the best thing you can do is be proud of where you come from. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Talk about where you come from. Talk about what you want to do for your community. Ask people, are you Native? Are you Native? Link up with people who look like you, who you don't know. You see their last name, you might recognize it. Is that a Monroe? Is that a Hamlin? Is that whoever? Like, are we related? Just finding your people, speaking up, it shows people you're interested. It shows people that you want to be there and you want to be of service to your community. And doing that research, embracing your culture, that's how you're going to find your people. That's how you're going to find your crew. And that's how you're going to make the change that you want. Just putting your foot in the door is the first step. And just remember to not be shy. Our ancestors weren't shy. They were proud of who they were. So that's the first thing you could do.
Yeah, that was very well put. I mean, that was kind of almost like exactly my situation. When I first came in here, I was not, and my family knows this, I wasn't as involved as I probably should have been growing up. But now, since I've been at URI, I've done every step that I can, doing everything that I can to help this organization, NASO, and that's just the advice that I give to anyone who's even considering joining. Is just do it. It's it's just as simple as that.
And this is our last and final question. If we're going to move it along because we need time for question and answers to follow. So how can colleges and universities encourage more Native American scholars and allies to engage in civic and political issues? That's loaded.
I just have something really quick. And this comes from a story, because we're big into storytelling, you know what I mean? And it's a really brief one, but my daughter, and this speaks directly to how can universities encourage more Native Americans. She's a theater major, fine arts major, and in the theater, they were going over the part in Peter Pan where the little Indians in Never Never Land were hopping around a fire. And totally disrespecting sacred ceremony. And when my daughter tried to express it, she was ignored. She tried to educate the educator. And she was told, go take a walk. Go cool off, you'll be okay. So no matter what you implement, no matter what, unless we're creating a culture that respects the voices of not just Indigenous students, but your students. If it's harmful for one, it's harmful for all. So educating the educator would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Sonia's daughter's story is one of a million. It isn't just getting us to the door. Getting to the door is the easy part. It's the wraparound services after you're at the door. I think throughout this conversation, we've heard of, and I call them macro aggressions. They're not micro, they're macro. And they affect a person. And we are shy. A lot of our youth are shy. They're not outspoken. They're not going to say something in the moment. They're going to carry it till they get home. They might never say anything. And so it has to be proactive, and it has to have people in the room that they feel safe and seen with. And if that is an immediate encounter they're having on campus, they're going to go tell a cousin who's going to go tell a cousin, and ain't no more cousins is coming. Because that's how you get people to the door. We've got to trust you, and then the community has to know that people we've put in your care have been taken care of. And then when somebody comes back and they haven't been taken care of, I'm not sending my child to that establishment. I'm not going to trust it. I already don't trust state, local governments. So now I'm sending and in this state, a lot of times if it's not Ivy League, it's a state or local college, right? Ran by the government, and all the decisions making's happening at that level. And so I think you have to scaffold and think about all the ways that that's impacting a student. And that's not just Indigenous students, it is across the diaspora. But I do think, and I know that's a tall task, right? Like how do you download that information to everybody on campus? But maybe it's creating an ally network within universities that are not their partner institutions that you're making use of, to ask the question, did I get that wrong? Does this sound right? Can you look over this curriculum? And finding checkpoints with other places, because obviously nowhere can fund everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, I would just echo what everybody's saying. Really create a space where you can inhabit indigenous values, right? So inherently, academia is a place that is almost antithetical to indigenous values, right? These communal and relationship and all of how important those things are. The university is really structured in a way where it's about individual and self-accomplishment and all of that stuff. So creating a space where you can really have an area where those values can be acknowledged and nourished, I think is important.
First off, I want to recognize the fact that we have a land acknowledgement and the fact that a lot of things have been done. Thank you, President Parlange, for, the efforts that you and many people in the education system here have done to support Native American scholars here. But I do want to bring up the point that we have to do more than anyone else. People of color have to do more than anyone else just to be recognized, just for us to be taken seriously. And I think I want a little more than a land acknowledgement, I want to know that there are people like me here. And I feel like when I came, I was like, oh, great, a land acknowledgement. This is great. And people are asking me to speak it because I'm telling them I'm Native. I'm telling them I'm Narragansett. I can speak this, but what now? How do I find my community? And it was hard. It took the efforts of different advisors. I had to go out and ask advisors. There was no one telling me, hey, you're Narragansett, go join this. I mean, now every once in a while, G or Gerald Williams will do that and be like, you're Native, go talk to Mina. You're Native, go talk to Trey. Why aren't you in Nassau? But I think it'd be really nice to see more Native people, and I think it'd be nice if the university could recognize us more and just, advertise it almost. Turn it into an advertisement. Go on the website and be like, go to Nassau, and, I just want it to be treated like it's important, because it is. It's important for us to be seen. How are we expected to thrive and succeed in an environment where we don't even feel seen or heard? And so I think that's just what I want to stress more than anything.
I just want to add
Seen doesn't always mean, look at me, look at me, look at me, what about me, what about my needs, look, me. It's more about understanding me. It's more about not fearing what you don't know. And it's more about reciprocity. How can you respect what you don't understand?
The young man at the end. You know, I don't know if I'm the best moderator because I really could not interrupt any of the words that they were saying. And I know we're short of time, but when you're caught in spirit and you're hearing from our youth, I don't know how to end that. And I want to hear every word they have to say. I don't want to say, 5 more minutes. And I felt, not just heard the words, but I felt what they were saying. And I'm sorry if we ran over and just extending your time, but I'm happy to be in the presence of all of you. And like I said, do not call me for this job because I'm going to listen, right? So we do have some questions from the guest here. And if there is anyone out there that have any questions that they'd like to ask of the panelists, please feel free to raise your hand, and I'm certain they will come to you. Go ahead.
This is a question for Trey and Mina specifically. Actually, I have 2 questions. Do you feel any pressure as the younger generation to promote your cultural traditions? And then, second question, are there any specific Narragansett / Native American traditions that you think would have more of an impact on preserving tradition with the youth?
Good question.
So to answer the first question, yes, I feel an immense amount of pressure, especially being president, but also because Nassau ended for a little. We had a big break, and then I came to this school, and there were people in power. There was Vange, there was Trey, and they introduced me to Nassau and what it was. And when I got introduced to that, I wanted to make this big statement. I wanted to say, I want to help. I'm here, and I want to help. But it's so hard to get your foot in the door. It's so hard to plan things out. We're not Student Senate recognized. We don't have as many resources, and it's really hard, especially when you don't already feel that recognized as a Native American person in New England. So I do feel an immense amount of pressure. And for the second question, I really want to put on a powwow here again. I really do. That's one of my biggest goals, being on this campus, and I wish we had it still, and I understand there's a lot of things that go into it. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people to get involved. You gotta find vendors, drummers, singers, you gotta find everything.
We can do that.
It's hard. Also, parking on this campus is that's a big problem. But I think if we had some big tradition that happened every year, which I want to thank the Multicultural Services Center and Bobby for putting this on and having that consistency exactly of having a traditional event that happens every single year that people can remember, hey, I went to that last year. I think they're doing it again. Let me go again. And something that people can enjoy and look forward to every year. That's a part of our culture. And I think having another one of those events, but bigger, is just something I want to get done. It's something I look forward to.
So yeah, that first part, yeah, there's there's definitely some pressure. I would keep it, short by saying, if we don't do it, then who will? There's not many Native people here in general on campus, and it is yeah, it's been a pressure for me and Mina to definitely keep things rolling and try and keep our voice heard and keep our you know yeah. Yeah, exactly. Trying to keep everything sane here. So yeah, definitely, there's definitely pressure on that. But yeah, that second part, that the powwow has been a long-term goal for Nassau since we started for a long time, and so that would definitely be our probably biggest achievement that we're trying to look for right now. So, and again, we're aware that there's a lot of things that go on to that. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that we're really trying to do. We're trying to aim high. So
Thank you all so much for the talk. This was amazing. I wasn't able to be here last year, and I'm really glad I could be at the event this year. A former colleague of mine who was a Kalaalleq Inuit often said that she felt like hunted to be on panels, to be like giving her perspective on things. And so I'm curious for like universities and allies and people trying to work with the tribe, efforts for inclusion can also become tokenization very quickly. And so I'm curious like what you would want people to know about that, what people should be thinking about that, how to stop that process from happening, and just kind of how you think about that issue, especially in southern New England.
For me, am I loud enough? I got a big mouth. Authenticity. If you wanted to check a box and move forward, whether you're being tasked with something or something, be honest. Don't try to make it appear to be bigger or more or different than what it is. That's so important, because so oftentimes false relationships might get started, or you know what I mean, and really they just wanted a bottom line, and then you'll never see them again. And then I'll let somebody else here. You gotta use this because
Oh, they're recording us. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think two things. I think the authenticity is huge. I think it's also the beast and burden. And then so, you've got to know who you're asking, and you have to know if that's okay with them. I think some people get tasked with it and they absolutely hate it. I can think of 5 people off the top of my head, but they'll do it because if not them, then who, right? And we heard that from our youth. Like, if I'm not showing up, then who else is gonna? And so maybe the first ask isn't for the person, it's do you know of anyone who would want to lead with that? And then they can give you resources if it's not something that they can show up and do that day. I think it's a hard question to answer. I think tokenism is just exactly that. I think we really experienced it. COVID happened, everybody had this awakening, and then it was like, we all want a land acknowledgement, we all want to be Black Lives Matter, we all want to like recycle and get our milk from a dairy farm, and like whatever the hell else we were doing. But then it like subsides again, and that's the part of building the trust. I think if you've built trust with the community, and you are a part of the community, and you continually had the community showing up, it wouldn't feel like tokenism when you're like, hey, would you come through for me on Friday? I got a panel. It's when, out of the blue, I haven't talked to you all year, but now all of a sudden it's November and I'm remembering, oh yeah, natives, and oh yeah, I know this one Inuit person, or I know this one Narragansett, let me see if I can get them to come in and do something for me. That starts to feel weird. And pay people for their time, right? So find the honoraria. Do the thing. We are huge advocates of that at Tamaqua. I never ask a Native person to do anything for free, and I'm Native and we're broke, but we find the money. You have to be able to do put the money where the mouth is, not just always monetarily. So if you're inviting people to consistently show up in a space and they're telling you they need wraparound services, if the youth organization's telling you they're not Senate approved and they feel like they can't even have a powwow on campus, start making the moves to help advocate for that, and then more people will want to show up for you, right? So I think it's all of those things.
Test, test. You guys hear me? Yeah. Pardon? Don't want to have my back to anyone. I'll stand over here. First off, I'd like to thank the panel and how this comes together. And a special thanks for the moderator. I think she did a great job. I had to get a plug in there for Bellas. My name's Randy Noka, tribal elder. And I want to thank, some of the things that were shared here today. I'm looking around, I may be the oldest person in the room, but with that, I qualify for this reason. Oh, I'm not the oldest. Respect to my elder. I qualify that because, some of the things that were said, some of the questions and the answers to them, we're in good stead with young people such as yourself. Indian country, I'll be real quick, folks, but then again, sometimes you take advantage of it. But, not to insult anyone and what they know and academia and what is taught, but down through the years you learn things, and I've had opportunities to speak and opportunities to be arrested and whatever, for being in Narragansett, for being part of that smoke shop raid 20-some years ago. But some of the things I've learned, it's things that stick with me, and one in particular is like, the Americas, what became America, the Americas. Before those from foreign lands, the invaders, the immigrants from foreign lands, there was roughly estimates, and it's truly that, estimates of 120 million indigenous people in what is now the Americas. North America, upwards of 100 million or more. And within 200 years of people crossing the ocean, within 200 years, 90% of those indigenous people were dead. 90% were dead. And I think, it's so disturbing, every time I think about it, that those kind of numbers, and it was by wars and killings and bullets and sicknesses and disease and whatever, however it came, what befell our people, our ancestors. It's amazing that we have some people alive today in many ways. It's absolutely amazing that we're still here today. And what used to be numbers of, 100 and whatever million, within 90% gone within 200 years, even our population today estimates about 3.5 million descendants of the ancestors, of the indigenous, of the aboriginal. Well, about 3.5 million. So some of the things that you all shared today, be proud, and I know I don't even have to say this, be proud of who and what you are and what you represent. Your ancestors are with you each and every step you take out there. They're sitting with you now. They're sitting in these rooms now. They're listening to what is being said by our future leaders and those that are proud to be Narragansett, are proud to be whatever you are. Hopefully you're proud of what you are, but don't ever lose sight of how we got here today. The stomping grounds, I don't like that term. These are the aboriginal grounds, the ancestral grounds of the aboriginal people, the Narragansett Nation. I don't like that stomping ground term, just me. I'm not trying to offend anyone with it. But I know some of the things you guys shared makes me feel good as a tribal elder. We're represented well. And don't think you need a title to be recognized as a Narragansett. Hopefully you're going to be an exclamation for your people, for yourself, instead of an explanation. But I know from what I heard today, and to know that in Nassau and the president and what you guys are trying to do, powwow, if it happens, great. If not, I'm a Narragansett. And it should be known, if they look at you, hey, I know that's a Narragansett. Or even if they don't know you, you're representing yourself out there. Well, what's your name? I'm a Narragansett. That's it. You don't need a title. You don't need an invitation. You just need to walk your walk and represent as you're representing. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm an elder, so I'm gonna sit. But in this room today was my great-grandson. I'm proud of you, Trey. And my other son, grandson is here, Scott. Mac Henry Scott. So I am a proud Narragansett because of what? His mother just opened up this education for our children, our children's children, from generation to generation. It's been 4 generations in this room, from Narragansett, from the bloodline of the Babcock. So I want you to know, Trey, you come from a good root. The tree is there. You're rooted in a good foundation for being a Narragansett, being educated, and that's the main root. Continue your education. Open up. We're here for you, for the youth, for the elders. You come to us. We're here for you.
Thank you very much. Is there any more are there any more questions? Because I do have one. I'm not a Disney Indian. You're not going to get Twinkabell, Tinkerbell, whatever, or Peter Pan. What you're going to get is my truth. They don't come from your history, they come from our stories. This is my elder, this is my mother's cousin. And being in these rooms, I get to meet my younger cousin, and my other cousin, and my other cousin, and my other cousin. So we're all family here. We're sister tribes that come together. So my question for all of you would be, here in this university where they taught Christopher Columbus discovered America, where they taught so many mistruths, where there's still mistruths being told, where you are over the ancient remains of your ancestors. Have you been approached on doing greater things for the Native people? Have you been approached on having a powwow or having a gathering? I don't want to just hear about dancing and selling jewelry and blankets and things of that. I want to hear about our doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, because there's many of them. I want to hear about doing technology. They like to make us as though we are these ancient, old, like we don't even exist, mystical creatures. We are not. We are here. We are present. We are in their face. They couldn't erase any of you. You are the seed of this land. So I ask of you, I ask this question, what are you doing to let them know what you want, or telling them what you want, and stop asking? They are on your land. Aho.
And this is your grandson?
Great-grandson.
Your great-grandmother was giving you a gem when he was telling you from that, you know? And I only say that because when you're speaking to your elders and everything, you'll say your last name and they're like, oh, you're connected to the tribe. She unlocked that key for you. Hold it there.
Are there any more questions? Well, I guess this will conclude the Q&A for tonight. I thank you for coming.
And before you leave, if you don't mind, please fill out the QR code so we can give feedback, so we can have more events like this, more funding for events like this. We greatly appreciate your feedback to make sure this happens again. Thank you for coming. One more time for our panelists and our moderator. Oh, and Sly Fox, then
storytellers are dangerous.